Hello everyone, I'm Rich Lamont. Welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time here, welcome. We picked a pretty good video to start. So today's video is a bit of a special video. As many of you know, in January, Mr. Ron Lucas Sr. passed away. For those of you who don't know who Ron was, he was an extremely talented fly tyer and hook maker. Lots of his flies were very, very unique. They were adorned with glass beads. That was kind of a signature of his. He wouldn't use it in every fly, but on the majority of his flies, they had some sort of a glass bead that was usually designed around the fly. Or vice versa, the fly around the bead. I'm not sure which direction he ever went with that. But he was also an extremely talented hook maker that not only did reproduction hooks, but also made a lot of his own hooks, his own designs. He was actually the one that took over the company from Ron Reinhold when Ron Reinhold retired. And I believe last year Ron Lucas Sr. started working with Garen Wood to take over the business. And I'm sure Garen will follow in his footsteps and do some wonderful things with the business itself. But Ron Lucas Sr., he was there in the beginning of my salmon fly career in around 2009. I was part of ClassicFlyTying.com forum, and he was one of the guys that he spent a little bit of time with me here and there, working on my techniques, working on making sure getting my wings to sit right, and getting my underbodies. He was very big on my bodies and getting them as smooth as I could. But without his influences, I don't think that I would be the fly tyer that I am today. I'm not going to say that my flies reflect his work or his way of doing things, but he most definitely had a big impact on how I learn things. So I kind of feel that I owe him great thanks for that. I didn't talk to him for many years, as a matter of fact, until recently. There was a few posts on Facebook where we made a few comments to each other, but other than that, I haven't been in contact with him for many years, and I kind of regret that. But for everything that he did for me then has led to where I am now. So I decided I wanted to create a fly a fly in his memory. So when I heard of his passing, I started working on this design, and these feathers have been kind of floating around ever since. I've been looking at them just about every other day. I've got them on the desk and I'm organizing them, trying to see what would look right and how they would fit, and what hook I would use. Two things that I really wanted to have on this was one, a Ron Lucas hook, and one, a Ron Lucas bead. But I was unable to obtain either one. I'm sure if I waited a bit longer, I probably could have found them, but I wasn't able to get them. But the hook that I chose was a Lars Mahler hook. It's about a size 9/0, and I really think that hook flows nicely with the feathers and the fly. So hopefully you guys can see that in there. But once the fly is framed, it will be auctioned off, and all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds, are going to be donated to the Cory Bustard program. Now, if you're not familiar with the Cory Bustard program, you can go to feathersmc.com, scroll to the bottom of the home page, and there's a section right there that tells you more about the program. But basically, any donations are sent to the zoological societies. I believe the Denver Zoo is kind of the big one. Don't quote me on that, but the money goes towards the upkeep of the birds that they have in captivity. Chicks, eggs, food, medications, poop studies, anything that they do that they can learn about the species, that money goes towards that. And in return, they take any of the feathers that are naturally molted by the birds, give them to John at Feathers MC, and John distributes them to fly tyers. He just gives them away, puts them in their packages when they order things from him. Not in every package. He doesn't always have the feathers, but when he does, and he does give them to people. If you make a donation to the Buster program through John. He'll give you a bag of, kind of like a grab bag of body feathers and stuff. But it's really a great program for a great cause. By kind of giving these feathers away, it also discourages people from wanting to buy them, and by discouraging them from being bought, that can also help keep them off the black market. So you don't wind up with poaching and killing just for the feathers, because these feathers are pretty sought after. So all the proceeds from the fly are going to go to that. I had reached out to Ron's family and asked his son, what charity could I donate this to that Mr. Lucas Sr. would approve of, and the Cory Buster program was the one that we decided on best. So that's where it'll all go. I hope you guys enjoy this video. I know I really enjoyed tying this fly, and it was quite satisfying to see it all come full circle and actually come together. So hope you guys enjoy the fly. Thank you so much for watching and coming along for the journey. Let's get started. Alright everyone, we're over here at the vise. Now the hook that I'm using for this project is a Lars Mahler. It's about a 9/0 hook. I couldn't find a Ron Lucas hook. There are a few of them that have popped up on eBay and stuff, but they were a little bit expensive. And besides, I think this is a really beautiful hook, and this one is really going to complement the fly very, very well. So so let's go ahead and let's get the eye on first. I'm starting with 12-0 Vivus. Now this is 3-strand Spanish silk gut. I've had this soaking for about 15 or 20 minutes. And now you can see I'm getting it under the hook here. It's starting to bend, and if you look right here, you can see it's starting to separate a little. So one thing you can do right there is we'll tie this in kind of loosely and kind of work our way towards the bend a bit. And back off from that just a little. What I want to do is create a spot where I can add a little bit of like head cement or Sally Hansen's. That way when we tie it in, it'll stay together in that spot, but I want to create the bend first. And it's okay if these are different lengths, because that'll actually help with the taper on this. So let's tie this in and work our way back a little bit. And then when we get closer up to the front, that'll pinch that forward. Pinch that a little bit more, which will make that eye smaller. But while we work on the rest of the gut, we'll just put a little bit of Sally Hansen's up here, or super glue, head cement, whatever you got. Just a little bit of clear adhesive to help kind of hold those strands together. Alright, so we've got it tied in pretty good, and then we're going to go forward from here. So we don't need to have it twisted anymore. So we can untwist these other strands. Because if you leave them twisted, I've noticed doing it some other flies, you get that effect kind of like with monofilament. You wind up with kind of ripples down the side of the fly in your underbody, and I want to try to have a nice smooth underbody. So those are nice and separated. And now you can use a pair of either razor scissors or a razor blade and cut these at different lengths at an angle. That's just going to help with your taper a little bit. And then right under there where they're starting to come together, we'll start to kind of spread them apart. And we just wrap our thread all the way back, and as I'm going, you notice I'm just making sure that these are all staying straight and in line, and they're not getting bent or ruffled up or overlapping to the point that they create a lump. I'm keeping my thread wraps very close together. They don't have to be exactly touching, but closer the better. Right there, that's a lump. And then they're talking about it. There we go. There we go. And now we can work our way back forward. And that head cement that we put on the gut up here should be relatively close to dry. And we can start kind of pinching this gut closer to the eye. It wasn't quite dry. I'll back it off and see if I can salvage that shape. I don't know if you can notice, but silk gut also will start to, I don't know if it's really flaking, but you'll notice some of it will start to come apart. If you mess with it too much while it's wet. So I'm going to leave the eye where it is, just for now. And then I'm going to work on the underbody really quick. And how well you were able to smooth out that silk gut will really show in your underbody. Alright, I gotta slow down a little bit. I was gonna hit the camera. These long hooks with the camera right here make it a little difficult. I think I've said that before numerous times, but doesn't make it any less true. I sometimes forget. I was smacking the camera a few times, and or this right here hitting that gut eye. Underbody material, it's that I'm using. It's just a woolly nylon that I got off of Amazon, but you can get it at Michael's or Joann Fabrics or Hobby Lobby, any sewing shop. This I think came on a 1,000-meter spool, so I have plenty for quite some time. I think I've spooled up 4 of these bobbin spools, and I don't think I've even used half of that other 1,000 meters. And I still haven't even used one bobbin spool of it, so. If you look up here now, making a pass back again, you can really start to see the silk gut underneath there. I'm trying to compress that silk gut just a little bit. I don't even know it's there. So I'll use the rolling nylon. There we go. I'm just trying to hold the hook shank still. This being a longer hook, it wobbles just a little. It's got a little bit of movement to it. Plus there's something loose in my vise. Something inside that center shaft that's probably wearing out or no good. So a new vise may be in the works here sometime soon. I really do like my Dan vise. I've had this vise for a long time. Tied a lot of flies with it. It may be time to move on to something a little bit more robust. So the two directions I was going with, one is either a peak vise, peak rotary vise, or the, I believe it's Commemorate, the T-Rex. It seems to be a popular vise that a lot of salmon tyers have been using. I don't know, you guys tell me. Any of you guys out there use the T-Rex vise, and how is it with holding your hooks? How well does it hold them? And quite curious. And this will probably be the last pass that I make here. And this little hump right here, this little dip, we can make that up as we tie. I'm going to do a whip finish. Add a little bit of Sally Hansen's to it to actually back with the whip finish. Nope, it's there now. Heck with the house Sally Hansen's. Just tie on that way. This is an agate burnisher, or agate burnisher, however you want to pronounce it. I found it on Amazon. It was like $8 or $10. It's usually for, I think it's advertised for jewelry, but works absolutely fantastic for floss and underbodies, and tinsel, and alright, so now I'm just working my way to the back of the fly. Don't have to be touching turns. Trying to avoid that eye. Alright, so first things first, for the tag, I'm actually going to be starting off with some Rifle Bird of Paradise. These are a bunch of little feathers from their throat, and I'm going to take these and I want to have them kind of just wrap around the back there, just the green tips. Shouldn't take very many. I don't have any smaller than this, so these will probably just wrap around it. They might even flare out a little bit, which could wind up looking kind of cool, but we shall see. I'll pull a couple of these out of the card. Okay, so from where I want to have it start, and come forward just a little bit. I actually think I should probably use black thread for this. A lot of it's going to have, there's going to be darker colors anyways. Tans and blacks and greens. Yeah, so I guess I could have just tied in a black thread earlier, but I'm kind of just going with it. I like using the white thread on video. I feel like it's easier to be seen. But I think in this instance, with these darker feathers, black might be better. Alright, so now we're taking the rifle bird feathers and we're going to, just like other feathers we tie in, we'll snip away all the fluff and save that for the tie-in. There's one. Part of me has been wondering if this idea is going to even work. That's the way it wouldn't. Looks like 4's got it covered. Okay. Next, I'm going to go with some silver oval tinsel. For this, I'm just using a small gold Vivis. I'm sorry, gold, not silver. And it's kind of a long way to go with it. We could actually run that all the way up to kind of help with that starting point, but we do have some body tinsel that we can use, so instead we'll just strip away the end here and keep a nice smooth gentle reveal right here at the back. Pulling away this outer sheathing is just going to reveal that silk core, and you'll be able to tie in a little bit easier and not have to worry about so much of a lump, if any. And then tie that in on the opposite side of the hook from the viewing side. That way you don't see the starting point. Okay, so now we can do one of two things. We can clip off our tinsel, or we can leave it on there and use that in the rest of the tag. And I think I'm going to leave it and use it as a ribbing on the tag as well. I'll forward just a little bit more. Alright, now the ribbing on the tag is going to be some tan Japanese embroidery silk. I'd say it's not really a tan, it's like a... I'm not sure. I guess tan is the closest color I can think of. It's like a sand type. Like a sandy color, I guess. I'm just tying that up there like that, leaving that much. Especially with flies like these, sometimes you have to back up. And like I said in the opening, you know, I learned quite a bit from Ron. I never took any like one-on-one lessons, but one of the things that stuck with me was he said that to be a good tyer, or to tie a good salmon fly, you have to be willing to start over or back up to the point before whatever mistake it is that you've made. So if something breaks, if there's a mistake that's made, something you notice, going back and starting over, or you know, that's one thing that you may have to do. So leaving yourself a little bit to work with, especially since we've got that room right there before we hit the gut. That's not a bad plan. So if you do have to back up, you can unwrap that, and it'll make things just a little bit easier instead of having to cut stuff and figure out where the end is. And I could potentially unwrap that and still either reuse it, or at least not have such a huge mess to deal with. So, and we'll take our pencil here and wrap this forward. And again, here we can wrap this all the way up as well to also help with that body transition. It's another way of leaving a smooth tie off as well. Okay. The tail that I chose for this is a Manal Impian Pheasant crest. So you guys might remember those from the bronze pirate video. So I've got a pair of these that they're a pretty good matched pair. I'm hoping I can get them to tie in and stay close together. These are very difficult to get to stay together, and I don't dare try to glue them. Hopefully you guys are able to see that. There you go. I like that. Look sharp. And if you'll notice, the tinsel is actually pushing that up a little bit. which I'm okay with in this instance because these seem to want to droop a little. I didn't necessarily want them to droop. I wanted them to actually stand up a little bit. Well, I'm assuming that there's a thumbnail, so here's the main wing. I want to hold this up and take a look see how that's going to look, and also see how it's going to sit on camera. So it's the first time you guys are getting a look at the top wing. I want that top wing to sit just about like that. I like that. Oh, that's a big wing though. There's a bottom one as well. Let's put them both up and get an idea of what this fly is going to look like. That's about what we're looking at. I like it. I actually think that tail could be a hair longer. I think that's going to be too much. So I'm going to leave it. And time to add a little bit of wax, and then I can add the hurl butt. For the hurl, I'm going to use some peacock hurl. I'm using the green peacock hurl. And to use the best peacock hurl, you want to get it from the top of the feather. I can't seem to get this one out of the bunch here. But you want to take it from just below the eye, so it's nice and thick. And you can see how nice and how much hurl is on there. And you can twist it into a, you can take the 3 pieces, tie them together, and then twist them into a rope. Or you can tie them in one at a time and wrap them like you would a peacock or an ostrich roll, which I'm actually going to attempt first. That in there. I'll split just a little. Try again. Beautiful. And I just wet my finger a little bit, and I'm just pushing some of this roll back a little bit, getting it to stand up a little more. Okay. So the next materials, I'm going to have a section here that's going to be kind of similar on the body as the last fly I just did, because I really like that pattern. So I'm going to use this same tan silk that I used here, but I'm going to have a metallic dark green that'll be the rib around that with the gold. I'm going to see if I've got some gold rope. If not, I'm going to try to make some. I'll be right back with you guys in just a little bit. Okay, so I've kind of changed how I want to go about doing the body. I'm not going to do the spiral jungle cock thing or rifle bird. I think I'm just going to go with some really nice striping and ribbing. I'm going to lay down a black base, which is going to be black Japanese silk. Excuse me. And then I'm going to have ribbing in a darker blue, a dark green, and then silver and gold thread as well. They're not, I don't really think they're thread, but they're an extremely fine, almost like an extremely fine silver tinsel or gold tinsel. So that's what I think I've decided with. I may try tying a peacock herl on there and wrapping that up as a rib as well. I thought that might kind of look cool. It might have a nifty effect to it. So now when you're tying all of these in, since there's so many materials, you want to have them evenly spaced out so they're not all starting from the same point. You want to have them start at different intervals so that way they look like they're coming out of the butt and kind of flowing into the fly naturally. So let's start with, I really want to have a thicker tinsel on there. Maybe a medium gold Vivis to go along with it. It is rather ambitious and there's a lot of stuff to put on. It may not all go well, but we're going to give it a try. See what happens. So this is the Vivis that I'm going to be using, in case you guys are looking for it. That one will tie in first. That'll be kind of our main starting point. Stripped off the end there. And we're going to start this on the back side. As usual, right around the 5 or 5:30 position. Just that one being the thickest, I think. And then we'll tie in the green. Just on this side of it. And we'll do the silver, I think, is going to sit almost directly with the green. So the silver will border the green on the trailing edge. And then starting here, we will do the blue. This will be almost directly on top of the hook, just giving a little bit of space between the others. Actually, let's change that a little bit. We'll do blue and silver and green and gold. Let's see if I can save a little bit of red here. Blue and silver. Tie them together. Maybe. And then directly on top of the hook shank, we'll do the green and gold. Good spacing on those. I was wondering if I can put something else on there as well. Nope, I think that's going to do it. I'll leave that as... I think this is going to be plenty. There's lots going on here, so. Okay, so we've got those tied in, so now we'll go ahead and get these cinched down completely. I really do want to put one more thing on there, though. I feel like there's room for it. Well, yeah, let's not try and crowd it too much. Well, I'm going to try something anyway, put something else on there. The heck with it. Always my constant battle with myself. Move that a little bit. Move that green and gold just a little bit. And then, well, I don't see anything that's standing out to me. Other than that peacock harmony. I'll try this. See what happens here. That might actually be neat. Let's give it a shot. What's the worst that happens, right? Now we can go ahead and get the rest of that tied in. Okay, now the one thing about this is a long hook. This is a very long body. So instead of wrapping it by hand, I'm actually going to go to the bobbin. And I've already spooled on some black silk onto the bobbin. So that's going to make things so much easier with wrapping. I'm not going to worry about getting tangled up and everything, or having to constantly rotate the vise and positioning, getting all this stuff out of the way. I should be able to take care of that pretty easily with the bobbin. Okay, so to get that black silk started, I'll just tie it in like I would normally. Well, you can tie it in and then do a whip finish, or you can tie in just like you would regular thread, which I probably should do here, and then just let the silk hold. Keep your thread held on. It won't go anywhere if you do it this way. Certainly not a fishing fly, so I'm not concerned with anything there. Even if it was, I don't think I'd be concerned with anything there either. But now I've got complete control over the silk. Just make sure that it's as flat as you can get it, and then touching turns, just slowly start wrapping it. You see it start to kind of twist up a little bit. It'll probably be every couple of turns. You may have to flatten it back out and just spin it counterclockwise. You see right here, like there's a little bit of white that's kind of showing through. Guaranteed that'll get covered when we make the return trip. So as long as those aren't huge gaps, it'll be fine. You can also see me rocking it back and forth and maybe bouncing the bobbin a little bit. By bouncing the bobbin, it just takes tension off of those those immediate 2 wraps or so, and that will allow you to kind of spread it out just a little bit more. Okay, now on the return trip, we can start filling in any high and low spots. We can start filling in any spots that have just a tiny bit of white or color showing through. And of course, any spots where it seems like it's just a little bit, maybe needs a little bit more material, thinner than the rest, we can kind of like stay in the same spot and keep wrapping right in there. Right through here seems a little on the thin side, so we can actually overlap our turns a good bit. And as we overlap them, we'll just be creating just a slightly thicker section of the body, and it should thicken it up nice, enough to match that section that we're coming up to. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead 2 more wraps or so, and that'll allow me to tie off over it. There we are. Okay. Now I'll take my floss burnisher and just slowly go through and flatten it all out. And we're just gently rubbing it, we're not pushing too hard. Try not to break things. Okay. Alright, so first tinsel that we're going to bring up is the larger, the medium, the medium gold. Get the rest of these out of the way. And I like that angle the best. And if you just hold it at that angle, and you can maintain holding it at that angle, you should be able to get pretty consistent gaps in your ribbing. Those look pretty even to me. I'm going to clip this so it's shorter, but not completely short. I don't want to leave myself with nothing in case I have to back up. Okay, so next we'll bring up the blue. Maybe. Alright. Now we'll just keep that blue a good equal distance from the gold. Alright, that looks great. Shorten the blue a little. And then we'll take the silver, and this is going to ride on the blue. And sit right on the very edge of it. Just very slowly rotating the vise and making sure that that lays right where we want it to on that blue. That looks great. Next we'll bring up